If you opened up social media or turned on the news today, I'm sure you have seen that VP Kamala Harris has tapped Tim Walz to be her running mate. She put out this tweet saying, "When I called Tim Walz this morning to ask him to join our campaign, I shared my deep level of respect for him and the work we've done together. We're going to unify this country and we're going to win. Let's go get this done."
Hi, this is Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Listen, I want you to do this with me. Let's do this together. Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country, the enthusiasm that's out there, it'll be a privilege to take this with you across the country.
Well, let me tell you, I have just the utmost respect for you. I have really enjoyed our work together. You understand our country. You have dedicated yourself to our country in so many different and beautiful ways. And we're going to do this. We're going to win. And we're going to unify our country and remind everyone that we are fighting for the future for everyone. So let's get out there and get this done, okay?
Let's do it. Do the work in front of us. Let's win this thing.
That's right. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
And here's a tweet from Governor Tim Walz. He said, "Growing up, I learned to be generous towards my neighbors, compromise without compromising my values, and to work for the common good. Kamala Harris and I both believe in that common good, in that fundamental promise of America. We're ready to fight for it. And like she says, when we fight, we win." So that is both of them speaking. Let's hear what let's hear what some of the people on the Twitter are saying. So I didn't know much about Tim Walz before this announcement today, but I have been on the Twitter learning about what he has done throughout his political career. Charles Adler says of the frontrunners for Harris's VP, Buttigieg and Shapiro were the smartest, Walz the safest. Grew up in Farmtown, Nebraska, former teacher, high school football coach, and military vet, served in Afghanistan. Tim Walz is a Tom Hanks American, or as Republicans would say, a dangerous liberal. Now, I have been watching some of the reactions from J.D. Vance, and he was calling him a Hamas liberal or whatever. I have no idea where this is coming from or the talking points that they are about to unleash, but they are painting this man as a radical left person, and he seems like the nice granddad of the group. So it's going to be interesting to watch. So this content creator called Former Republican just simply put coach versus couch. And it's going to be very interesting to watch these two pair up because Tim Walz seems to have more of a political resume than both J.D. Vance and Trump put together. He actually has a resume of things that he has done for his state and in the federal government. So it's going to be very interesting to try to watch them tear him apart. So Taisha says, J.D. Vance, a real vet. Walz left his unit because he didn't want to go to war and ran for office. There is a real difference. This is the perfect time to insert that Trump deferred 5 times and acted like he had bone spurs so he could get out of military service. So I just want to remind us all of that. But former Republican says, how dare you try to swift boat command Sergeant Major Walz? He served his country honorably and was a highly decorated, non-commissioned, got ranked through promotion, not nepotism officer. Walz is partially deaf from his years as a heavy artillery specialist in the Army. He damaged his hearing and had surgeries while enlisted in an attempt to repair his hearing loss, from which he still suffers today. He was deployed overseas to support the war in Afghanistan. When he retired in 2005, he was a disabled, high-ranking officer with 24 years of service. Corporal James Hamill did not become J.D. Vance until 2014, also served honorably as a military reporter for 6 months in Iraq, corresponding for the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing. He ended his enlistment after 4 years of service. He gives 2 links, of which there are screenshots. I'm gonna show 2 of these screenshots. Walz specialized in heavy artillery and had proficiency ribbons in sharpshooting and hand grenades. But during the 21 years that Walz spent working with large artillery pieces, he suffered hearing loss and tinnitus in both ears, Minnesota Public Radio reported. He was allowed to continue his service after undergoing surgery, which partially resolved his hearing loss. J.D. Vance, a Republican senator from Ohio, enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2003 under the names James D. Hamill, the Marine Corps confirmed. He served a 4-year enlistment as a combat correspondent and deployed to Iraq with the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing from August 2005 to February 2006. And this is a screenshot from militarytimes.com. This person, MAGA Bull Definer, says, "This man has the most infectious smile and laugh. You can't help but feel joy when he looks happy. We are so happy." And this meme says, "The face you make when you just signed a bill into law that provides breakfast and lunch to all students at no charge." So apparently he's out here trying to feed hungry kids, whereas Republicans are all about Xing free lunches and not wanting kids to have free summer program for food. So there is a difference. Al Franken weighed in. Is Walz, pronounced Walz, a great choice with an impressive record in Minnesota, making reproductive freedom a right, expanding paid family and medical leave, making school meals for students free, veteran, teacher, football coach, congressman, governor, and he's not weird. See, that's why I said that they're going to come for him, but he actually has a resume. So it's going to be challenging to besmirch him if he doesn't have any skeletons that are going to pop out. Lakota Man says, "So if Harris and Walz win, Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan becomes the first Native American woman governor in U.S. history. And that is wild considering Native Americans were here natively, but there have obviously been no Native American women governors. So this would be huge, a huge shift. There's a huge shift going on in politics and in our country and in society, and I'm here for it." Barack Obama weighed in. Like Vice President Harris, Governor Tim Walz believes that government works to serve us, not just some of us, but all of us. That's what makes him an outstanding governor, and that's what will make him an even better VP. Michelle and I couldn't be happier for Tim and Gwen, their family, and our country. So hashtag Tampon Tim is trending, and it took me to some very interesting tweets. So this person, Black Knight 10K, says, "Calling Tim Walz, hashtag Tampon Tim, for making sure schoolgirls don't have to bleed on themselves if they have a period is crazy, when Trump just did an interview with a guy who sniffs people's seats. Way to lean into that weirdo label, guys." Okay, so from that tweet, I started looking into other things that Tim Walz has done, and like, why would they come for a person that is trying to help girls? This creator, I Too Like Pumpkin, says, so get this. The Republican Party is trying to shame Tim Walz with the hashtag Tampon Tim because he made sure restrooms in Minnesota's high schools had free tampons, sparing young girls the trauma of bleeding through their clothes and being ridiculed. I like Tampon Tim. Like, who is going to be mad at this? Who is going to say that's the gotcha that we need? The people that are making fun of them must have all kinds of money and have never experienced embarrassment from what that kind of thing can do to a girl. And it's so out of touch with a party that's supposed to care about women, and, or at least act like they care about families and women. They keep showing over and over and over that they don't actually give a about women or girls. Anyone else thinking the hashtag Tampon Tim thing is just making Walz seem even more cool? The dude advocated for girls to get access to feminine hygiene products in school. Why is that a bad thing? And then Mrs. G says, does MAGA not understand Tampon Tim isn't an insult? When did a man making sure young girls aren't bleeding through their clothes at school become a problem? You mean he doesn't want them embarrassed and to be able to focus in class? You clowns put them on your ears a few weeks ago. And here we have panty liners and maxi pads being stuck to people's ears because Trump got a cut on his ear. So I'm just going to remind everybody, and I'm glad that Nick Longo put this together with these maxi pads stuck to these people's ears. Okay, Ahmad Baba says, Trump, Tim Walz will unleash hell on earth. And then he shows pictures of Tim Walz hugging kids and holding a baby pig. Like I said earlier, he just seems like the actual nice grandpa, not the crotchety old grandpa shaking the cane at somebody. Finally, we have a statement from Trump's campaign. This is called Statement on Kamala's Selection of Radical Leftist Tim Walz. It's no surprise that San Francisco liberal Kamala Harris wants West Coast wannabe Tim Walz as her running mate. Walz has spent his governorship trying to reshape Minnesota in the image of the Golden State. While Walz pretends to support Americans in the Hartfield, when the cameras are off, he believes rural America is mostly cows and rocks, from proposing his own carbon-free agenda to suggesting stricter emission standards for gas-powered cars and embracing policies to allow convicted felons to vote. Remember that Trump is a convicted felon. I just want to remind us all of that. Walz is obsessed with spreading California's dangerously liberal agenda far and wide. If Walz won't tell voters the truth, we will. Just like Kamala Harris, Tim Walz is a dangerously liberal extremist, and the Harris-Walz California dream is every American's nightmare. This is from Caroline Levitt, Trump campaign press secretary. And once again, I want to remind us all that Trump is an actual convicted felon. He might be the only convicted felon that is currently running. So should he have a chance to vote, we need to ask Caroline. Let me know what you think about this pick so far, what you think about all of the reactions. What reactions have you seen? Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and join the conversation. This is a bonus. I just happened to catch some of the live of Tim Walz, and he started out with, these people need to mind their own business. We already know that the R's are forced birthers and anti-choicers. Well, Tim Walz comes out the gate saying that they need to mind their own business, and he starts off by telling us a story of him and his wife using IVF to have their first child. Watch this clip to the end. It's amazing.
8 years going through infertility treatments, and I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope. When Vice President and I talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make your own healthcare decisions. And for our children to be free to go to school without worrying they'll be shot dead in their classrooms. By the way, as you heard, I was one of the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws. Vice President Harris' idea of freedom is a ticket for education to be that ticket to the middle class, not crippling debt. Air that's clean, water that's pure, communities that are safe. A place where we settle our political differences not through violence, but with our votes. And that's what this election's about. What direction will this country go in? He's not going back. Well, Donald Trump would damn sure take us backwards. Let's be clear about that. And don't believe him when he plays dumb. He knows exactly what Project 2025 will do to restrict our freedoms. To rig the economy to help the super rich. If Trump gets a chance to return, he's going to pick up exactly where he left off 4 years ago. Only this time, it will be much, much worse. Raising costs on middle-class family. He will repeal the Affordable Care Act, no doubt about it. He'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And when somebody tells you they believe him. He said he'd ban abortion across this country, and he'll do it, whether or not Congress is there or not. Donald Trump's not fighting for you or your family. He never sat at that kitchen table like the one I grew up at, wondering how we were going to pay the bills. He sat at his country club up in Mar-a-Lago, wondering how he can cut taxes for his rich friends. And I got to tell you, his running mate shares his dangerous and backward agenda for this country. J.D. Vance literally wrote the foreword for the architect of the Project 2025 agenda. Like all regular people I grew up with in the heartland, J.D. studied at Yale, had his career funded by Silicon Valley billionaires, and then wrote a bestseller trashing that community. Come on! That's not what middle America is. And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?